Let's just get started.
Yay!
Yay. Lacy, I'm so happy that you're here. I just want to reach out and hold your hand because you're such a dear friend in my life. And to have you here in this setting, two ethereal air sign girls in an office building.
I know.
Most beautiful building in LA, truly.
Yeah.
But we both, we're grounding ourselves. You come from Topanga. I come from my little cocoon at home that I don't leave very often. And here we are.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful too because I'm not on other people's podcasts that much anymore. And so whenever it's a dear friend to me, I'm like, this is going to be the best conversation because it's really two friends having a deep, intimate conversation. And to me, that's just where I'm more interested in. It's more meaningful. So I'm really happy to be here.
It is,
really
totally.
excited.
I was honored that you said yes to coming back on because I know what it's like to step back.
Yeah.
I too don't go on anyone's podcast. I would go on yours. I would go on our friends. And that's not shade to anybody else. It's just I
energy.
Don't have that capacity, and it's not where I shine, actually.
Yeah.
I shine when I'm writing, and I shine when I'm here on this podcast, which might sound selfish, but it's I love my audience, and I'm comfortable here. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And everybody wanted to know, so I wanted to kick off with this. You have stepped back. You've been a mom to Teddy for 2 years, almost 2 years, to your little Aries baby girl. And just tell us about kind of what that stepping back has looked like, because everybody has asked. I just want to hear from Lacy. That was all your fan base. How's she doing?
It's so funny. I'm doing amazing. And I think a big piece, if I just really center in, a big piece of stepping back, honestly, it really does come back to my work of authentic code. And so for me, what that really is in To Be Magnetic, everybody figures out their authentic code, and mine is family memories, number 1. 2 is design. 3 is finance and investing, and 4 is just spirituality, self-care. And when I really looked at everything in my life, anything that doesn't fall into those, I delegated, and I really just took my ego out of it. A good example of that with To Be Magnetic, people were knocking down my book agent's door, publishers, I'll give exclusives, etc. And as a team, we're okay, we came up with a concept. And then at the top of the year, we're I don't want to take the time to send the voice notes back with the people and do all the things. So for me, if it doesn't fall into those 4 categories of what truly, truly lights up my soul and my authentic self, I'm not that interested anymore. So that's one piece of it. And then the second piece of it is just listening like you to my bandwidth and my energy. And I do think there will be a time when I share more from a more personal outside of To Be Magnetic space. But at this moment, I'm just in that bubble of being a mom, of grounding, of centering, of building. I would say that's the big thing right now I'm doing. I'm building. In all aspects of my life, is the new house, is that in Topanga, family, it's just so much building that the output is there and not so much public at this moment. And it really is just getting true to my authentic self and sharing authentically when it feels right.
I love that so much. Authentic code. I have not really heard it put that way before. Yeah. And that speaks to me.
We have to get you to do all the things.
Oh, please.
I can't wait.
It's so funny because we've been friends for years. Yeah. And when we first met, I was heavily into doing your work. Yeah. And then I've just been on such a journey and healing the physical body and psychedelics and all of this stuff.
I feel you're seeing something right now.
I'm seeing everything.
What are you seeing? I can see your eyes.
Yes, my eyes
what
going,
you
well, you're just so open. I mean, I love being with you. I see your third eye as if it's a full eyeball on your face. So that's there.
Wow.
And that's because you're so open and you've really, you're living your authentic self, like you said. And I see... Yeah, your whole face is dissolving, angelic energy around you.
Oh, I love it.
Bright white aura.
Wow.
So beautiful. So when we were at lunch with our friends Jenna and Krista the other week, and Jenna was like, oh, Lacy, all of your new deep imaginings are incredible, the safety one and specifically. And I was like, wait a second, why am I not doing these? This is what I need. And I told you, and my audience knows kind of what I've been experiencing lately, which is a lot of anxiety. And I think it's, as a mom, and we can talk about this too, trying to live my life the way that I was living it before I became a mom. So all of this to say, I've been getting back into your work. It's amazing, life-changing, so excited. Like, tell me where to start, really, because I've just been doing all the DIs, which are your meditations. But on the topic of motherhood, do you feel like becoming a mom is really what got you into this phase, this building phase, stepping back from the spotlight?
Yeah, I do. I really do, because prior to giving birth and like really going on maternity leave, I was still like in such control of everything, you know, and it was like it was so in my masculine, like my root chakra. And then after giving birth, I don't know if you went through this, but I was in an abyss, like, and that's why when we were at lunch the other day, and I knew like you had kind of gone full throttle, you know, with this and everything. And I was like, how are you? Because I remember for me, I couldn't find like totally which way was up, down, all around. And it was really disorientating. And I was up for the challenge, but it took me until 15 months of Teddy to be like, I'm my own individual. I mean, we're still nursing and co-sleeping, but I know who I am, and I feel into that again, and my space. And I saw Harmajo. Have you ever taken her classes in Kundalini? We ran into each other at Erewhon, of course. I was like, where are you at with other kids? And she was like, it took me about 15 months with both kids. I don't know if I have that time with the amount of work I'm supposed to put out, et cetera. All of this to say, I think that motherhood did transform so much for me. Like, it cut out all the bullshit. It's made me have to step up to the plate in a whole new level of consciousness. And I think that's where so much of this body of work has come from, the new deep imaginings, because I was like heavily doing EMDR at many points in early motherhood because of Max and I's relationship, which is a phenomenal and great relationship. But I could see myself treating him the way that my mom would treat her partners. And I'm like, I can't do this in front of Teddy. Like, I'm so aware of the inner child, the shadow, and I do parent and make every choice from that lens of how do I preserve her authentic self. And I know through all of the research I've done, it's so important to have conflict resolution. It's so important to work through my stuff. And so I was doing such heavy EMDR that I approached as a brand, we approached one of my very early clients who's a therapist, and she's an EMDR specialist that actually introduced me to EMDR years ago. And we were like, would you ever be interested like in a coach and collaborating on these new deep imaginings we're going to be putting out? And so she brought so much to the table of EMDR, you know, inspired work, the somatic experiencing. We like put out all of the new, how do I say this? Because I only read it. Is it Safaggio?
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
Of the different
frequencies
to get. We worked with a really, really incredible artist. Jessica did specifically, and Jessica was really the one who produced and did this. But from my standpoint, I was putting out the work that I needed. Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people are needing.
The best work is what we really need, rather than, because I can relate so much, like, rather than trying to bend yourself into who you were before you were in this new season of life, which I've realized only recently is what I've been doing. Atticus is 14 months now. So it gives me permission to know this is normal. Like, 14 months is not too long to like not have it all figured out yet. Which I feel like so thankful to have expanders like you as mothers, because most of my friends don't have kids. So that's been another thing that's made it a little hard for me.
Sorry, just be mindful of your hands. I think they're
okay. Good to know. Always talking with my hands.
Me too.
that's been another thing for me is so many of my friends don't have kids. So to find my routine again and to find myself, and I'm a very social person, is like go spend time with those people. But most of them are not mothers, which is fine. But it's just, I don't have that many expanders in that motherhood realm. Yeah. So I'm really happy that we're talking about this. And then also what you said about your relationship and wanting to preserve Teddy's authenticity, becoming a mom, you just realize, oh my God, if I don't keep doing this work on myself, I am going to be my parents. You know, all of my biggest wounds, which for me was really shocking. And you can speak to this too, I'm curious, because I thought I had done all of this work, but the work never ends. But I thought I was in such a good place, and then becoming a mom, and then our little babies are such teachers to us. They're actually showing us all the unhealed parts of ourselves all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you've felt?
Yeah. And I wasn't, for myself, naive enough to think, I was like, this is going to be an initiation. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I know, and I've heard that, you know, kids come to teach us. And it's interesting because just now, I have a friend who, you know, does conscious parenting teachings, and she was like, really remember and get very comfortable with that newborn state, that loving, which I honestly can't even really remember that, because she was like, when she comes online, like it's gonna hit, you know, and so. And I would listen to also Janet Lansbury, I'm saying that correctly, I think, of Rye teaching. You know, she's a huge proponent of Rye and teacher of it. And her big thing is like, I'm going to paraphrase it, but she's like, just be cool as a cucumber. And Teddy she knows the buttons. And the main one is that we're really working on at this moment is like being gentle with the animals. Because I'm such, like you, an empathic person. I can feel their feelings. And it's like my one breaking point. So we have like all the books that are like tails aren't for pulling. But it's funny because the things that actually presented as stuff that I'd have to work through in motherhood, it wasn't what I thought it would be. And I would say the relationship that I focus on the least, that I would say is probably the most important that I'm realizing, is Max and I's. Because growing up with a single mom who was like a black widow, she didn't give a shit. She got rid of the guy. Like, she just walked. She'd do her own thing. Like, there was no compromising or self-work. And for me, like, we're very much partners that are supposed to be together right now and parenting, and we love each other. We're on the same page. But I would say he doesn't hold me as accountable because he is a double Virgo. He is very mutable. He's very loving. He's extremely strong, but he's very understanding. And I would say if he held me more accountable with my shit, I'd work on it a lot more. But it's definitely the relationship that most of my body of work will come from.
Yes.
And me wanting to do it to not pass on, like you're saying, the cycles. It's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. And I'm so happy to hear you saying all of this because I relate on all of it. And I'm sure we got so many questions from new moms who wanted to hear from you on this topic. It's the relationship stuff. And huge. I think I've told you this. Jonathan and I never really fought or argued until we became parents. And we had like normal arguments and stuff, but really not very often. And then we became parents, and those first 6 months or so, he was like, who the fuck are you? And I too was like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Because it's just, you know, sleep deprivation, but also raising a human together, and then to commit to each other and like constantly make that choice. You are my soulmate. You know, I'll never forget how much I love you, even though so much other stuff is swirling in my mind and in our life, and Atticus is the focus and Teddy is the focus. It's a lot. And I'm excited for you to put that into your work.
Thank you.
In what way do you think you will?
Well, I think it's already begun. And I have to give Jessica and the team like the utmost credit, because Jessica's really good at spotting like what we need to do. And we'll bounce it off each other a lot. And I'll be like, this is what I'm really needing, you know, and we'll work on that. Like, we'll come up with those themes. But I would have to say that what's been the most important so far is the EMDR informed. To me, I was is like, how do we lace that? Because with our work, even though, you know, Janelle can't properly teach EMDR in our, you know, in our stuff, she was able to infuse it, and it has really super speeded, I think, people's process, certainly mine and outside of TBM, because what I started to do myself was bridging the two. So I would have like an EMDR session, I just taught it to myself, and then I would use it, and then I was like, so I would say that that's probably one of the biggest pieces. And then I, like, for me, it's always ever changing, but where I'm the most interested right now is freedom, Aquarius. Like, freedom's my utmost interest, and I think of many people's, it's theirs as well. So I've really been getting into this concept of diversification. We've always taught, like, when people are manifesting money, we're always like, the FU fund, the FU fund. But what really constitutes, outside of just money, the FU fund is diversification. So it's like I look at To Be Magnetic, you know, I have so many other business things going on when it's real estate, investing in the market, etc. So like, I like to say that if To Be Magnetic crumbled and dissolved tomorrow, I don't have to rely on it anymore ever. It wouldn't affect, you know, my life tremendously. And so I'm trying to create that in all aspects of my life to have the utmost freedom. And that's something that's getting me excited, is like, how do we create a workshop around diversification?
Ooh, yes.
Like with everything in life, you know, everything where you feel constrained. Just think, if you had that in a lot of different baskets, safety nets everywhere, you would be free.
Yes. That feels really good because it does feel like when you have a business, I can totally speak to this and feel this. As much as I love it, it is the basket. That is the thing. Like, to walk away from it, not really an option necessarily. So I love that. And because you are so well versed in investing and the properties that you've bought, you guys just got one in Mendocino.
Yeah.
So exciting.
And
so beautiful.
This is one I'm getting completely on my own.
Oh, that's huge.
And it's so big. And I have, like, there's so many ways I'm splitting the pie to have it pay for itself. So it's like, to me, it's just one big, how do you say it, like, playground?
Yeah, it's a playground.
To do this, like, to do what we're talking about.
That's so fun. So for those of us who may not have ever invested or even looked into the market of doing any of this kind of stuff, what are your tips for getting started?
Yeah, I love, and I think, you know, Krista and I share this, you know, Ramit's work. Have you had him on?
No, but I want to. He's at the top of my list.
Have to. And he'll come on. He'll definitely come
Amazing.
on. And I love his work. And for somebody who's never, ever done, and it was Grace on our team that actually introduced me to his work.
Love her.
Love her. And devoured his book. And then after that, I was like, I literally I was listening to it on a drive to Mariposa, to my hometown, and had an iPhone note at the same time while I'm driving, just taking, like, the actionable notes. And I did every one of them within a year. Wow. And so wherever you are financially, it's possible. Just educate yourself. That's like that to anybody who's cringing and they're like, I don't want to read a finance book. Get the audio book. And literally, it's so layman's terms. It's so actionable. He literally gives you scripts of, like, how to call the bank and what to say. And I think it's the perfect starting point for people. And so for me, and Max has been really helpful in this, because he loves, like, to him, he loves educating himself on, like, real estate and deal. That's what lights him up, is like a manifestor Virgo.
Yes.
And so now we've really put that attention, and I've always loved real estate. I've watched real estate. I think your dad is in real estate and construction and like really big things like that. So I grew up around that. And my mom, I watched her buy her first house and her second house and her third house. I mean, these weren't multiple homes at once, but how she would roll them into the next thing. And so for me, that's like, the market is abstract and it's beautiful, and it's always building, and there's a great return always happening there. But I also like physical things, and I love design. So personally, I've been putting a lot of interest as well in real estate and how to do that. And so for anybody just listening, like, step one, go do Ramit's book. And I can sit here and say, like, smartest things, pay off debt, start your retirement, and then here's how you want to invest, and, you know, the different low index funds, etc., that you want an 8% return on. But the most interesting thing to watch has been, like, Nadia, who supports us with Teddy. I've watched her single-handedly do all of this, you know, and she has a retirement with us. She has benefits with us, and she paid off all of her student loans. She's maxing out her retirement, and people don't know this. If you're buying your very first home, for instance, the only time you can draw on your retirement and not have to pay back any interest or have penalties, etc., is to buy your first home. Also, first-time homeowners, people don't realize that you qualify for the FSH? I forget the loan.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it's something like, I forget that, but my sister's about to do this right now. So like my sister, for instance, she's 20. Last year of college, she had a full ride and has no debt at all whatsoever. She's been like saving up since she was doing FFA. What is that? I'm like, I'm forgetting everything. FFH, you know, like raising animals.
Yeah.
I never did it. So she did that from like, I think 13 all the way. She had huge savings. I mean, $30,000 from this that she saved up on her own, which is crazy.
So cool.
She comes from, you know, like not of crazy means at all. And she calls me, well, she talked to White Feather at our Yule party. Mm-hmm. She calls me. So this is my 20-year-old sister, lives in Fresno, has this savings, and she's going to go buy her very first home. She asked me to be a co-signer. I don't have to do anything. I'm not giving her any money, nothing. She's just using my credit. She's going out to buy her very first home, and her current roommates are going to pay all of the rent on it. So she's not paying any money for this.
That's amazing.
She's qualifying for the FSH loan. I'm just going to call it that. People Google, because I did never get to use that, but she's qualifying for that. And so she only has to put down under 10% as a down payment.
Wow.
Most people don't realize they already have that in their account. So she's going to do that. That still leaves her with a great savings if there's an emergency. Remember, all of her roommates are paying the full entire mortgage for her. And her boyfriend, who are like really committed, it's Fresno. So he is waiting. They're going to wait to get married, etc., so that he can do the same thing and buy his very first, so that they will have owned those for a couple of years. They'll take the equity out and buy their actual like family home together, and they'll now have 2 income properties that are making them money.
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
If my 20-year-old sister can do this in college, anyone can do this.
Yes, I'm in awe. That's so cool.
It's so
and
cool.
And so cool for your sister to have you to look up to with these things, because I mean, I didn't even know that. Like, we've been looking for our first house for years, as you know, because we're constantly looking into Panga. And yeah, there's so much that I do not know, and it's so important to just start learning.
It's the most empowering thing anyone can do, because no matter what dream, like, you know, that you turn into a reality, it becomes work at some point, and it becomes like a weight on your back. And so it's like, for people, like I would argue all of us listening who really appreciate freedom, learn, start with Ramit's book, learn what your options are, because if you diversify, you have freedom. Like even Grace right now, I explained, I called her and I was like, I already sent her a voice and I was like, my sister's doing this. It's time, Grace, you need to do this. And Grace makes like good money between us and her other clients. Like she makes, I think, good money. I'm like, you can do this, buy a fourplex, buy a duplex, use that. And so right now she's looking into doing this year, because I'm like, it's time to start creating freedom. Like you are broke if you're living off of your paycheck. I don't care if your paycheck's $3 million a year, you're still broke. Wealth is having passive income. That's wealth. So that's my PSA
Mic
here.
drop. Oh my God. No, like that sound bite is everything. And it inspires me so much, because there's so many things we can be doing, like all of us, to get to that point of making passive income. And it's something that I have been thinking about in my business more and more, as I think about, okay, I'm a mom now, as to bring it back to the beginning. How can I step back to focus on my core values, to focus on my authentic code of family, nature, healing, self-care? Basically exactly what you listed, which is why we're so similar. And you know I can do this, but we have to set ourselves up and work toward it.
Absolutely.
And manifest it.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to the next topic. You've been on the podcast many times, so if people really want to learn about the basis of your work, they can go back to we can find the episodes and put them in the show notes, but like 2014 and also probably 2018. I'm not sure.
I don't remember, but I know.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I just know we were in my old apartment the first time, and the second time we were in my current place, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I do, even here, just want you to kind of introduce the way that your manifestation technique is so different from any other. It's not really just think about it and then it's going to happen for you. And for anyone out there who might be kind of skeptical about manifesting, how is your process so different?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, for anybody listening who might be new or, not, familiar with TBB Magnetic. So TBB Magnetic is like I have gifts and I could read energy. And at some point after, doing the law of attraction, the secret, et cetera, for many years that I would manifest little things, but not humongous things, that finally the universe kept pushing me to every rock bottom to learn this very specific method of manifestation. And it's the beautiful thing is now it's completely science-backed. Like we've had neuroscientists, psychiatrists, everybody come in and back it. So, and also we're working with therapists. So for the skeptic out there that's like, oh, which I couldn't imagine your audience.
I don't think anyone is listening who's skeptical, but for maybe the one person who is.
I'm talking to you, that it is science-backed. But for the people that aren't, so basically the gist is what separates it are these three core pillars that kind of have to be in motion at once to be manifesting. Number one, your thoughts don't create your reality. Your subconscious mind does. So it's all of everything you imprinted from the ages of 0 to 7 to 14, if I'm being generous, everything that you experienced as trauma and low self-worth is what you're blocked in and not manifesting. That's still looping down there, projecting out and saying, stay away from me because this isn't safe or I'm not worth it. So that's why you're not manifesting what you want. Anything you are manifesting really easily is that you witnessed that you were loved or had high self-worth in. So that's the first thing that differs from thoughts create your reality. It's actually your subconscious beliefs do. The second piece is a lot of manifestation formulas talk about, visualize, just feel it, pretend to be it until you have it. And in fact, going back straight up to just your subconscious mind, anything from 0 to 14 to now, that your subconscious mind hasn't witnessed as possible, hasn't seen to believe it as possible, is why you're not manifesting it. So for example, for the person who's sitting here that's like in, Nebraska and they want to be out here and doing their dream. Growing up, did you witness anybody from Nebraska who moved out here to do your dream, et cetera? So if your subconscious mind hasn't seen to believe that it's possible, it's not happening. So basically you have to go out and find what we call expanders. So it's the people out there that you see to believe, and you have those aha moments. Wait, that person and I are so alike. If they can do it, I can do it too. Or what we call fragment expanders. Say you're calling in a relationship, the three couples in your life that you're very close to maybe each have an aspect of something you want. Good communication, intimacy, the other best friends, but they don't have the full package. That's a fragment expander to show your subconscious, see to believe. So that's the second piece. And then the third piece is aligned action. So it's those moments of jumping off of a cliff, passing what I call tests. That was something I never, ever, I had to learn that the hard way in manifestation.
I still think of you all the time because I'm like, this is a test. I want this to be the thing. I know it's not the thing. I've had so many tests with the house hunting.
Yes, and that's where it really shows up. And so basically the test is, are you going to settle for old low self-worth patterns? That's it. That's it.
Oh my God. It gives me chills even now, even though I know these things. I'm like,
I know. And that one's hard.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the work and the way that we set it up, it's just so step by step. And that was something that I really had wished in manifestation when I was doing it from all of the young years, all of the law of attraction version of manifestation. I was like, just give me a formula that I can follow. Like I'm a Capricorn moon. If I do this, and this, that will happen. Yes. And a lot of them are like, stay in the vortex. And I'm like, what the fuck is a vortex?
Yes, totally.
So that's really what this is. And for me, it was so important to start providing expanders right away. And I think I've probably been the most militant on the team to be like, we have to have testimonies. And so when you go onto the site, what like you can go right on TBB Magnetic and you'll already start expanding by reading with thousands of testimonials of people who have done this process to manifest. But the cool thing is we set it up to be your expander. So we have categories. So it's like career, money, house, relationship, like love, travel. Like it's crazy. We have so many. And so basically you can go start to click on them and already start expanding. And people are so generous in our community that not only do they share their Instagram handles, their photos, so you can actually feel like, oh no, I really do relate to this person. Say if I'm a bigger bodied person, listening to this, they'll go, we're privileged. Like, of course, Jordan and Lacy were capable of doing this, or et cetera. There's so many ways that our subconscious mind can trick us and say like, well, of course they got it and we didn't, which is something to obviously unblock and work on, because it's, anyone can manifest, anyone, anywhere, from any walk of life, socioeconomic, et cetera. We're all just coming from different spectrums. But that's the beauty of this community, because people will share their photo, their Instagram handles. They'll share the exact way they went through it. These were the workshops I did. These were my tests that I had. This was my magic dark. And it's so massively expansive and helpful. So literally to just start the process right now, like start reading those for whatever you're manifesting, because you'll already start. If you're in Milwaukee and you're like, of course Jordan was able to have X, Y, and Z, or Lacy was able to, like, go there and start reading about other people who are manifesting what you want, because you'll start to see to believe that it's possible. So that's kind of the three things that are really
amazing.
important.
I love hearing you talk about it every time, because I learn something every time. So I think even everyone listening who's already familiar with your work and why it's different, it's just good reminders for us. Like, there are tests, and our subconscious mind is always gonna be in the healing journey.
Always.
I mean, there's always gonna be things to unblock. Like, would you say that you still have a lot of things that you need to unblock?
Last week, what was it that came up? So in this purchase process of buying this place, there have been two experiences when I bought the place in Mariposa and also Topanga. Both parties said, we're just going to leave everything on the property. And at first I was kind of cool. I'm like, all this furniture, and and then I was like, oh, holy shit, this is a lot of work to haul away everything.
Yeah.
And so with this purchase, like, the number that we finally agreed to felt good to me if the seller would remove everything, because there were so many big items and big piles of wood, et cetera, to remove. And I was like, that makes it worth it, because I've been through that process of removal. And so last Wednesday came when it was time to close and for me to transfer the down payment. And with my realtor, I was like, okay, cool. Is everything removed? I would love to see video and everything. Nothing had been. And I was like, I'm not sending anybody.
Right.
So it pushed closing a full week. Everybody had to get their act together, et cetera. And you could tell people were really bummed about it. But these are obviously, the universe always presents your mirrors and your archetypes. And it's really presenting to me at this moment is very strong boundary work. And even if people, I'm a people pleaser, I'm a codependent, even if people don't like you, this is how you have to advocate. So you better believe all last week I was doing a shit ton of deep imagining.
Yes.
And now I'm in a really integrated place about it. And I'm like, I don't give a shit if people are bummed about it or not, whereas you can always feel energetically when you've really integrated and owned something versus when it's still ambiguous and you're like, but I don't want them to not like me or whatever this is, and it's like the moment that we actually fully integrate too, because at the end of the day, we're all just mirrors. The universe is just sending us all the exact medicine of what to do to get to where we want, right? So it's like the moment we consciously or unconsciously call something in, the universe is like, got it. I am going to start, and this is going to start orbiting around you, and you just think of it as a planet, or Jupiter, like Saturn maybe. I don't know my planets well, but the thing's orbiting. And based on how much more unblocking and expanding you do, it gets closer and closer, and then the tests start to come. And basically what the universe is really asking of you, what you want is here. And you're here right now. And you know that because you would have what you want if you were here. You would be on the same, what they call same frequency, right? So you're here, it's here. And so the universe is like, I need your self-worth to align with the self-worth of the thing that you're calling in, if we're just talking in terms of energetics. So that's when you actually integrate and you actually visibly see everything the universe is sending at me at this moment is it's just a mirror for what I've called in. It has nothing to do with that person or me or that opportunity or me. All it is a reflection, and the universe is like, I want to get you back into your whole, worthy, authentic self. So here's the exact work you need to do in front of you right now to get back to that one memory, because when we were all born, we were all born totally whole, worthy, and authentic. However, we experience pain, shame, and programming. So it's like the universe is always sending us the exact clues we need to integrate and heal in order to then bring our self-worth with the thing. That's when people say that's the actual law of attraction. That's when the connection happens. So I would say I'm always doing this. And the universe, it's like you said, it's lifelong. And that's why people go, oh, that's, damn, I don't want to work forever on myself. But it's like, wait, my life just keeps getting better and better and more abundant and great.
It's a gift to keep being able to work on yourself. And we all walk away from it at times. I mean, I certainly step back on my routines.
Same.
But to be back in it right now, as I really am, because rock bottom, I hit my rock bottom. And I was telling Lacy, like, thank God I know Lacy, because she talks about rock bottoms in such a way that has been so helpful to me to really view them as a gift.
It's the best gift.
Your rock bottom, and yes, they suck. I know everybody listening who hears me say, because I'm always like, my chronic illness was a gift. Yeah. This was a gift, because that's the way that I view it because of everything that I've learned. Some people really hate when I say that, but tell us about rock bottom so that they don't have to hate me for this anymore.
No, everyone. Oh my gosh, a rock bottom. It is the most painful, treacherous, horrible, nervous system thing
overload
to ever be in. But it is all that is happening from a manifestation energetic standpoint. All that's happening is the thing you've been calling in is very close in your orbit, and you're not aligning with it fast. You're not raising your subconscious self-worth fast enough. You're not expanding fast enough. So the universe is like, shit, I'm going to have to knock this person out of their nest, literally, that would be the metaphor, to fly. And so we have a full workshop on this, the rock bottom, and it is, if you navigate a rock bottom well, it's the most beautiful, blissful thing on the other side. It is so special, and you will not be able to see it inside of the tornado. But when you're back in Kansas, you are going to be like that. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, because it's going to be so good. So just note, if you're in a rock bottom right now, the universe is working to dance with you so hard, because what you want is so close, and it's needing you to super speed the process of getting there because it's so close to you. That's why it's not gentle. It's
certainly
abrupt.
not. It's so abrupt. And that's the difference between a hard time and a rock bottom. Because I think I've been in a hard time for maybe 5 months without really realizing it, and just telling myself over and over, but your life is so good, there's nothing to worry, it's fine, and pretending to myself I can't really be having that hard of a time. And then it just hits you so abrupt, and it's like, no, you're in a rock bottom, and you can't go on like this, and it's time to make a change. And now I can't wait to get home and do the rock bottom workshop. I was telling you, I'm living for your work right now.
I'm so happy.
Which is why timing is so divine. Why we're doing this now, and we scheduled this 2 months ago. Timing is so divine. And for everyone listening to, I really believe that this work is going to meet them at the exact time that they need it.
Always.
That's how it goes. And I love it. And also, I was going to say, who's expanding you right now?
Oh my gosh, even on the drive over, it's constant for me because I have the awareness to create an inventory. But even on the drive over, so we have this thing called pings, and everybody listening to this podcast is probably quite connected to their intuition. It's just the universe communicating to you. I'm claircognizant, so it'll just drop something in my brain, and I have to follow it, and so that's a big piece of the puzzle of manifestation. And I had this ping out of nowhere. I haven't thought about this person, this model for 7 years. Erin Wasson. I don't know if anybody remembers. Erin Wasson was such a cool surfer girl model in Venice. I got this ping, and maybe it was 10 years ago. She was on my radar, right? I get this ping, and I'm like, what is Erin Wasson up to? That is random. And I Google, and it comes up on her Instagram that she lives in Marseille, in the south of France. And I was like, wow. And she's 41. This is like just the information I could see on Instagram in 2 seconds. And I went, yeah, she's my expander for living in Europe one day.
Ooh.
Like it's been on my radar forever. I can feel it coming. Max is the only thing really kind of like not allowing that to happen. I think he has trauma. He moved there when he was 8 to Paris for a year or 2 years, and then his parents divorced after. So I think that whole notion is a real blind spot.
Totally.
Hasn't done the work on that. But bam, I was like, that's why I got the ping to look up Erin Wasson right now. That's it.
Yes.
I have so many right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And to listen to those pings, because as two claircognizant girls here, sometimes like I will think of the most random person that I haven't seen since middle school. And I will not know why, but I have to look them up. And if they're not on Instagram, I'm looking for them on Facebook. If they're not on Facebook, I'm looking for them on Google. And then I see something. I'm a true detective. Yeah. And I'm like, I was supposed to see that.
Yep.
And
that's
you
a ping.
Always
that's
know.
It. That's a ping.
That's a ping.
That is the universe. Literally, there's something there at the end of that they're supposed to expand you in. It's so, you said something earlier too that I wanted to say. It will get back. Who knows if we'll arrive, but it was such a good moment. But anyways,
it'll hit you. It'll come back to you.
Yes.
And so also I wanted to talk to you about something, because when I was on your podcast in 2020, and it's kind of amazing. I think there's like a resurgence of people who listen to that episode lately, because I keep hearing about it lately. So like something's in the ethers.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys should listen, because yes, a lot has changed, but also the essence is always still there of us. Yeah. And you really helped me to describe my gifts. And so many people, still, even my dedicated listeners, are like, I didn't know how much, Jordan, that you channeled Pleiadians, and I didn't know how much you could see. And I saw that gorilla in your face and aura, and like...
Yes.
Spirit animals on your property and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So since you're on my podcast now and I know how deep your gifts are, I want to talk about your gifts here that your audience might not even realize that you have.
Yeah, they're getting much deeper. And it wasn't even because of becoming a mom or anything. It's like... that might be a big part of stepping back too, because ego is really starting to leave me in many ways. I'm a Tauran North node, so it doesn't leave me on the physical. Like I love beautiful things and stuff like that, but it's certainly like I'm not needing recognition. That inner child stuff's pretty tied up. I'm not needing to be seen. That's I got to be very seen. That's very tied up. So it's so interesting, this next phase. And I think this is a huge piece of what pushed me to Mendocino, because when I'm in Mendocino, this is, the new place where I got the farm that I've been manifesting literally for 4 or 5 years. And when I'm there, I can speak to land, fairies, and animal. I've never had that. They just come to me. I'll be ready to fall asleep. I'll be ready to meditate, and they're all around. And I wonder if Mendocino, it's accessible because it's so raw and so, in Albion specifically where I bought, the population's like 168 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That sounds like a dream right now.
A dream. So there's that, and then the witchiness. The witchiness is getting very, very, you can see like,
I see it. I see it in you.
Look, it's really, that's a huge new level of like gifts. I guess sorcery is becoming like a big piece, and that it's all unlocking when I'm there, and then it follows me back. So the ways that those are presenting, like so many more spirits are speaking to me now, like you're saying, land. I don't even know what they are because I don't see them physically. I hear and feel them. And so I'm like, are these animals? Are these fairies? Like, what are these?
It's so cool.
And Nadia could feel them. She's obviously a deeply intuitive person. Like,
she has such a good energy.
She's
your daughter's nanny for everyone listening. Love her. She's like next level, sweet, incredible person.
I know.
And yeah, I love that so much, the witchiness. Yeah. I feel it in you so much, because when I saw you Well, I've been lucky enough to see you a lot recently,
Yeah.
but when I saw you specifically last week when we were at lunch in Malibu, I really felt like you looked at me and you just told me how I was feeling because you knew, which was like so relieving, because a lot of people either can't see it or don't want to say, you know, like, are you in a bad place, or not a bad place, but are you okay? And you just like said it, and then you said why I was probably feeling that way, and I was like, okay, Lacy's gifts have reached yet another level.
Yeah, and
it's really cool.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I think it's a lot of it's coming from like the very top of this conversation of being like, you know what, fuck you to everything that doesn't feel right or good. And I'm just going to create a lot of space, and I'm not going to follow I never have, so why would I start now? And I'm really not going to follow any type of expected normal trajectory. I think that level of authenticity is allowing me to really, really tune into that. So, and when I saw, like, I could feel and what I thought you might be going through, I think all that as a true reflector form, you know, all I was, you were reflecting to me truly is what I went through in a way. And I think like the medicine in it was like, you're about to arrive in the fuck you zone where everything's going to start being like how you want it, where you're free and you're boundaried and advocated for, and if anybody doesn't like it, like, hit the road. I think that's where you're headed. And so I think it was really just reflector energy that was happening.
But it was amazing because I agree, and like I just want to say hallelujah if that's where I'm headed. Or not if, but I am.
You
like
are.
I do want to affirm that. And you did see it in me because you've experienced it, which is why you're such an expander to me.
Thank
not
you.
just because you always have been in various ways, but because I've seen you step into that, where it is that energy of like, you live life for you, for your family, incredible mother, incredible partner, your home is your sanctuary, your other properties are also your sanctuary, you will move to Europe, I mean, you will have all of this. And I just feel it. Like, even when we were at your house the other day on your birthday, I was like, Jonathan, just feel the energy here. Like,
wow,
this is the vibe. This is the vibe that expands me.
Wow.
This land, and you have donkeys and farmland, and we love the donkeys.
They really loved Atticus. They
had a moment, a really special moment. And all of this to say, I do feel that I can see and be expanded by you to know that it's possible to drop some of these people-pleasing tendencies, and also that feeling. It's kind of the lack of freedom in which you feel stuck, which is how I started to feel, which terrified me because my whole life mantra is about freedom. And I created a life of freedom, but now my life is different than it used to be because mostly of being a mom, and also because I'm older now. I started this 10 years ago. So it's just different. Yes, really different.
So you know who you have to do a reading with, actually? And we want to give like a big shout out. Do you know Krista introduced me to Colette. Do you know Colette?
Oh, yes.
Have you done a reading
I did
with
a reading with her, one time.
Yes.
And it was about I was pregnant, so 2 years ago, maybe, year and a half, but I would love to see her again.
Now. Like, she's actually, and this is all going to loop back to just what you were saying, she's been the most accurate every year. So Colette is an incredible gua sha facialist beauty queen, like to the stars, booked out years in advance, like can hardly find her. She's a true like white witch. She really is. And I don't think her gifts have fully been seen and realized because I think she's really integrating and owning that all the way. But her reading for me this year was so accurate. And I don't know if you're in a similar phase or anything, I'd be so curious to see what she has to say about you. But everything you're saying is a lot of where I think I was going to last year. And what I want to say, like, is that I think you're headed into a level of refinement. Like, that's the way she could put it to me, where everything in your life is going to become a little bit more refined and mature to your needs and wants, and not everybody, writing your like she said, using you as a meal ticket or a coat, your coattails or et cetera. Like, you're gonna really grow up this year.
Wow.
I see that's just where you're headed.
I love to hear that, and I feel so much clarity hearing that from you, because that sounds amazing and ideal, and it's also making it make sense. It makes this rock bottom make sense, because I have truly been confused for like 12 weeks now, like, what the fuck is going on, because I have never felt this way. And it's making a lot of sense, because it's all of those things that have always bothered me, but I could push them off. Like, I could push them out of my head. I'm pretty good at doing that. That's my inner child work, where I somehow disassociated at some point from having to feel the intensity of the feelings and the intensity of the psychic abilities and all of that. And then it all came back, and then all I could do was feel it. And now I'm feeling it because it's teaching me something.
Oh, you're gonna.
Refinement.
I think you're about to integrate with it and become like a very powerful witch.
Yes. Oh my God. Just Topanga witch vibes, like on the land. I'm just going to say on my land, like just calling it into existence, being that witch, being that person, owning
or
my
whatever
gifts.
The term is. I just say witch because
witch speaks to me too. And it also embodies so much. It's like the witch, the sorcery vibes, but the channeling vibes, powerful mother vibes, all of it.
I want to say, because I think you just surmised it in a nutshell, that the difference between, because what you had said, it just brought it back, that point. It was like, she made such a good point. You had said earlier, you were like, I felt like I did the work, and then I'm in this thing, and it's like the whole time I've been trying to just be like, you have a good life, I'm grateful. And I think the difference between like to be magnetic work versus, say, like law of attraction, for instance, a lot of the focus in those manifestation practices are around gratitude. So like for me personally, I would spend so many years being like, okay, I don't want to have a negative thought, and I need to be in gratitude, and not fully feel the feelings. And I'd have to say that the universe was like, nope. And it was like rock bottom in money, rock bottom in love, rock bottom. And it was like, because that's great that exists. And I think actually things like the law of attraction stuff are phenomenal when you're in a very integrated place. I think things work very, like what Jenna talks about, the paradigm, like things happen fast, it's, quick. However, a lot of us are being called, I think, to like a martini, shake and really get into integration. And I'd have to say, like, the crux of our work is focusing on, yes, I'm grateful, but. And in fact, it's the uncomfortable feeling I'm being mirrored and faced with, because the universe is asking me to ascend, that's actually the uncomfortable feeling, all those feelings, the pain, the everything, that's actually going to be my roadmap to ascension, because it's going to be that pain or that friction or tension or hardship that's going to allow me to do the like simple journaling exercise and hypnosis to get to that memory of the root, and what we call, it's not like erase it subconsciously, because when you're in hypnosis, right, your subconscious is forward. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real, but you're actually going to desensitize the emotions around it. It's probably time to wrap it. But that's so, I think that, like, I just want to bring it back to the very beginning, that I think there's a place for being grateful, and in fact, it's going to be the tension, the pain, the whatever, that's going to ascend you once you integrate. Oh
my God, I love that. This conversation is changing my life. Like, I don't know if you fully know you feel it. Like,
no, not that, but I can feel the energy that's happening right now.
I'm just like, thank God. This is on recording. Thank God we're doing this right now. I needed this more than you'll ever know. Like, I was ready to it was very dark. I mean, I was just ready to be like, who the fuck am I and what am I doing kind of thing. And to kind of like elaborate on what you were saying too, I feel like for so many years, the only way that I could deal with being so sick with the autoimmune conditions and all of that was to like trick myself into being really grateful and optimistic. And I was I'm an inherently optimistic person, but kind of pretend to myself and to everybody else, oh, it's really fine. It's really fine because I'm fine and I have a great husband and great career, and if I'm going to be sick forever, then that's okay, but I'm probably not going to be sick forever, and just all this stuff. But as you were speaking, I was just hearing reflected back to me like I was kind of being a fake version of myself. That's the only thing I kept hearing. So I can't really change those words, even though I wish I could. Yeah. Because I don't really like to think that I was living that way.
I know so clearly what you're saying.
Yeah. It's like not the real integrated self.
Yeah.
And I just feel so grateful I could cry because to be becoming that person. Oh, like thank God.
Yes. I really think that that's what the universe is doing right now. And it's so painful and hard. But in the end, I think there's going to be tremendous liberation and freedom, abundance, everything that comes with that. So amen.
Amen to that. Yeah. Oh my God. This was amazing. We have to have you back on because we didn't even get to the rapid fires, to the listener questions, but because this conversation was exactly what it was supposed to be. Yeah. And I have no doubt that it's meeting everybody listening exactly where they needed it, but mostly me. So thank you, because I needed it. And like you said in the beginning.
So it's going to reflect back exactly what people are
to tie it back, like the work that you're putting into the world is what you need. Yeah. And that's the only thing I can also do with my work. You know, it's like I don't want to be the fake version of self anymore. Yeah. And be like, everything's good, guys. I have it all figured out. Yeah. Because I don't, but
nor
good
does
things
anyone.
Are coming.
Me neither. And that's why we're on a journey.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
It's a great ending note.
It is. I love you so much.
You too. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.